8:21, we are back 1st of October, so that means, 18 days, and then we got to get this vote in. Nancy Macdonald, associate editor over at Macleans Magazine, is back joining us and hearing lots of rumors, reading the polls. Some people saying this has become a two-party contest. What's your read with the latest debate of where this race stands?
Well, I think the latest polls show one thing that is definitive, and that is a softening of NDP support. So we see this edging into a two-way race between the Liberals and Conservatives.
Do you find that surprising?
Yeah, I do. I mean, at the start of this campaign, you saw the NDP charging, and I kind of thought it was going to be a two-way race between those two.
And values and emotion kind of play into this when you say the NDP softening. I mean, this stance about the idea of the niqab controversy, and we're taking a look at the poll, this particular poll saying NDP ahead of the Liberals, but let's look at the NDP stance on something of value about wearing the niqab in a Canadian citizenship ceremony. What do you think about this as strategy to gain the vote?
Well, it's super interesting for starters that this is what we're talking about. We're not really talking about the flagging economy. We're not talking about environment. We're certainly not talking about Indigenous issues. We're talking about values. We're talking about the niqab. We're talking about whether we can deny people citizenship because of past criminal convictions, that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, Mr. Mulcair is fighting a losing battle in Quebec because this is a very popular stance, the one that Mr. Harper is standing behind. And Mr. Mulcair's stance, where he opposes the ban on the niqab, is very unpopular, particularly in Quebec, where they need to maintain support.
Let's talk a little bit about Mr. Trudeau's announcement yesterday in Surrey. Just perhaps speaking directly to the youth vote or to the British Columbians who have sort of softened, obviously. We have enough medicinal marijuana shops around this town operating illegally. Just to say, you know what, I'm going to legalize pot if I'm elected. Yeah,
we're starting to see definitive stances by parties. Mr. Trudeau is going to legalize, and I think you're going to see more and more of that going forward. People are going to, I mean, there are 3 weeks left, and people are going to come out fighting.
And with those 3 weeks left, I mean, last time you came on, we talked about getting specific with priorities within the platforms. What do you anticipate is going to happen now? Of how much more specific things are going to get? Are we going to see more attack ads, things of that nature, to try and sway this vote?
Interestingly, the NDP is rolling out attack ads against Mr. Trudeau in Quebec, and that's the first time they've done this, and they're doing it because, you know, the stakes are high, and they're putting all their chips on the table, and they're going to go after Mr. Trudeau. It could blow up in their faces, but this is the strategy they're going down. They've got a very effective anti-Harper ad, the one that focuses on the senators who faced criminal charges and on party organizers who faced criminal charges. So they're attacking in these last couple of weeks.
Just reading the article in Macleans, fascinating to see sort of the strategic side, but in the statement in the column, it is about to get ugly. Speaking to that, with the attack ads, are we going to hear like serious platform, here's the golden ticket for each of the parties, or are we going to just go the ugly, do you think?
Well, I mean, I think we're going to see some ugly. We're going to see also, I think Mr. Harper is going to take, yesterday we got relatively good news on the economy. There's 0.3% GDP growth, which is very good news for that party. That they do really well on the economy, on the fiscal management side, and I think you'll start seeing that party trumpeting that and reminding Canadians that this is someone who, as the party will say, knows how to run the economy.
And you know, you were just commenting on the latest debate that took place, saying, hey, this was one of the highlights for you. What did you think really came out of that in terms of salient points that voters can take away and use that for casting their ballot?
It was a fascinating debate, this last one, on foreign policy, and you saw some people, you know, real stances come out. Mr. Harper talking about this being about ISIS, not CSIS, is a great soundbite, and it's something people will remember. Mr. Trudeau got emotional when talking about his dad. He was attacked by Mr. Mulcair about his father's record. He played it emotional. He also made a really emotional plea to Canadians on the refugee issue, reminding Canadians that we are a generous country. We are a country of immigration, and that worked really well for him. He was very composed in this debate. He's been really aggressive in past debates. He was a lot more toned down this time around, and I thought he did quite well.
And Nancy, going back to what you had said off the top, that this has really become a two-party race, not the Conservatives versus the NDP as predicted before this started, but the Liberals and the Conservatives. Really, where has Mr. Mulcair made his misstep?
People talk about Mr. Mulcair having believe too much in the polls coming into this. He's running a front-runner race. He's being too cautious. Mr. Mulcair has actually come out to the left of him on a number of policy issues, and to be outflanked on the left is a dangerous thing for the NDP. So playing this too cautious, playing this as a front runner, I think has not worked well for him.
Interesting. The NDP kind of learned that lesson in this particular province, I believe.
Yeah. Well, Macleans.ca is a great resource for you to keep informed leading up until the election. Hopefully, we can get you on a couple more times before that all-important vote on October 19th.